So are your children safe while you're working? So my name is Angela M. Odom, and I am so excited today about this topic. It's, we're so busy building our empires, working to take care of our families or to, align with our partners to build a better life. And sometimes while we are considering that we're doing the right thing, there's someone who is lurking in the background, attempting to prey on our children. And so, what does this have to do with leadership and leading ourselves? What does this have to do with, any of this better you leadership topics? What in the world does that have to do with anything? Well, I'm here to tell you that it has everything to do with us thriving. So the question I have for you is: are your children safe while you're working, while you're doing the right thing, right? This is difficult, for me to share with you, and I want you to get some notes, right? Take some notes so that you can benefit from this, and then maybe help somebody else, right? So child molesters come from all economic backgrounds, geographic areas, and they include every race or ethnicity, right? And creed. The bottom line is what they have in common is they have thoughts about being sexual with children and acting on those thoughts. They actively seek access to children and the opportunity to be alone with them. That whole thing about stranger danger, most of the time, it's people that that your child knows, is someone who has immediate uh, access to your family, someone close to you, right? So let's talk through this. Today's episode of the Better You Leadership is brought to you by Odom General Store. That's ODOM generalstore.com. And so the Better You Leadership podcast is focused on teaching women how to lead themselves and others so that they might manifest the life that you actually deserve. And so in our quest, mine too, to do what's best, to have a safe living environment, to have safe, reliable transportation, to do what's right, go from inspiration to vision to manifestation of your own goals and dreams. That's what we're doing. Oh, by the way, if we have children, then really that's our job. That's our number one job, our number one priority. So I served in the United States Army for 27 years, and I've retired. I've been retired 6 years now, and I have one son. Right, one son. And yesterday, or actually this morning, he called. He's 16, right? He called from the bus stop. He had just left the house. He called from the bus stop and he says, "Hey, mom, do we have school today?" And he asked me to look up the calendar and all this kind of stuff. And then he said, "Would you like to take me to school?" And I was like, "Well, I would not like to, but I can." You mean driving him to school, right? He says a permit and not his license yet. Oh, by the way, he has to work for his car. I digress. So anyway, I he came back home and I drove him to school. And as we were leaving our neighborhood, there were other kids who were waiting, sitting at their different stops, different points in time. And I said, "Do you want to pick them up?" He said, "I don't know him. I don't know her. I don't know him." "Oh, there's Kyle." I said, "Okay." Well, I stopped. The two children who I have known since they were in elementary school, they got in the truck and we drove on the way, right? No issues. But just think about that. Just in a matter, minutes, nothing dubious happened. But those parents don't know that I took their children to school, right? And yesterday, it just so happened that yesterday I looked at my son. We were what were we doing? Oh, we had just come back from voting, and I looked at him and I said, "Do you remember our when we had a safe word?" And he said, yes, ma'am. And I said, well, you never used it. He said, because I never had to use it. I never needed to use it. And so now we'll just take you all the way back. When I was serving in the Army, probably about 10 years ago, may have been like 10 years at this point, I was in the same organization as a man. We were the same rank. We were both colonels, O sixes, right? Meaning that we had been in the Army 20 plus years already and had a vast amount of experience in leading, influencing, and producing in other people, right? We were at the top of our game. One of the proponents underneath my umbrella was the SHARP program, which is the sexual harassment, sexual assault program for my organization, right? One of that, one of those components was for me to oversee the program. So I was able to see the horrible things that people did to children, physical abuse, sexual abuse, to their families, all that kind of stuff. Ugh, right? Uh, but what got me, I would read the reports and whatever happened discipline wise to those individuals, it happened because we would process it, right? But one time we had an event where my peer, who was what you would call a manly man, this fella could do a gazillion push ups. He was one of those gym rats. He had, he did everything you would think an alpha male would do. And he was a kind man also. He's also my neighbor. So he decided that he wanted to share his story in one of our programs, one of our SHARP programs, one of those programs to prevent SHARP. So he got up on the stage and he shared that. I think he might have been, because we were probably like in our early 40s at that time. He shared that when he was under 10, he was raped, right? He shared that when he was a teenager, he was raped in front of this audience. It was so brave of him to do, right? So he said the first time he was raped was when was by the neighbor uh, because his parents, and the neighbors were friends, and he would have the neighbor would babysit, right? And the man was man, woman, whatever. The man would rape him. And then when he was a teenager, his brother's friend, who was older, I think he might have been 13 or 12 or 13, and his brothers was like 16 or 17, and his brother's friend raped him while his brother, held him down, right? I know, like, just like, oh my God. And at 43 or early 40s, he said that he would never tell his parents. And the thing that he got me was he said to the parents in the audience, he said, right now, what I want you to do, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want you to establish open communication with your children. I want you to have a safe word with your children so that they know that what good touches are bad touches, all these kind of things, and that it's okay that it's somebody that someone is making them feel uncomfortable. And I said, oh my God, wait a minute. This guy don't look like somebody who had been molested or raped, right? And so that day, and go, by the way, if it can be microwave, that's what I do. I'm just telling you right now, like today, I eat out a lot. And so my son, for that day, after the program that night, I cooked a big old meal, and I put our plates on our food and stuff outside on our little deck outside. And I said to my son, he was probably 7 or 8 at the time. Yeah, he probably was like 7 or 8. And I said, hey, just want to, just sit down and eat together, this kind of thing. And I said, so, um, you know how mommy Like when you're in the bathroom, mommy doesn't come in the bathroom. You know how when you are changing your clothes, mommy's not in there with you changing your clothes. You know how you know your I've talked to you about your body parts. I went through all that thing. He was looking like, oh my God, what in the world is she talking about? And I said that means that nobody else should be coming in, when you're in the bathroom. Nobody else should be touching you in your private parts. If anybody makes you feel uncomfortable, then you please tell mommy, right? And he was like, Mom, nobody's touching me. What is it? Right? And so from that day, what I decided to do, because I would drop him off at 6 in the morning or earlier. PT was at 6, physical training. I was in the Army, right? And so I would drop him off probably like 5:30 in the morning, and I would see him probably after 6 in the evening. So I would drop him off at that before care, and his school, little school was in walking this. They were walking to school, and then after school, if I was not off work, then he would go back to aftercare, right? So I would not see him. And don't talk to me about guilt and all that kind of foolishness, what I should have done. My God, I got enough of that myself. But I'm telling you right now, I just want to gift this to you. So right now, you change what you're doing so that your kids are safe, right? So what I started doing was on the drive to school. It was only about 5 minutes, 10 minutes to drive from our house to the pre-K, the before care. I would drive him to school and I would turn the music off. No music in the morning. I told him, I said, "Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to ride without music on, and that way, anything you wanted to talk to me about, I'm not going to fuss at you about anything you might have not done. I'm not going to talk about school work. I'm not going to talk about anything mommy's doing. I just want to hear from you, right?" And so he, the first couple of days, he was like, "I don't know what this is about. I don't know what she's doing. This is kind of weird, Mom." He'd nod off and all this kind of stuff, just trying to get through it because he didn't know what newfangled thing mommy had come up with. And then about a week into it, he started to tell me things, talk about the children in his classroom and what he was doing. He began to talk about his teachers by name and the ones that he appreciated, the ones that he might have gotten out of hand with. He would tell me all these things in that little 5-minute ride. And then on the way, at about 2 weeks in, he started to talk about this one man, a name that I had never heard, Mr. Whatever, right? And I said, "Oh, okay. So now tell me again what he does." He was the computer tech man, right, in the elementary school. And then he said that his teacher um, would ask Mr. Mann to come by and get my one son, no other children, one son during the class period. And I would say, "Well, why would that happen?" He's like, "Because I was loud, or I was telling jokes, or I kept messing with, Jody, whatever." He was being disruptive. So his teacher, right, homeroom teacher, would allow someone who is not his teacher to come by the classroom and get him and take him to the man's classroom in the building. And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" So as he talked, as I made space for him to talk to me, he continued to tell me the story in the interaction. And I was like, "Well, what did you do in the room today with Mr. Mann?" "Oh yeah, I wiped off all of the tables. I did this, I did." And he was excited about it because he was getting one-on-one attention, right? And so something inside of me, because of the conversation, the presentation by my peer who had been raped twice, and before he was out of his parents' home, because of that, I listened, and everything in me was pissed off. Right? That's the truth. I was like, "What in the holy high water hell is going on here?" Right? What in the world? So I went to some school events because I wanted to make sure I could meet the man, right, and have a conversation with his teacher and the principal. We were at some kind of program. My son was up getting some award or whatever it was in elementary school. I went to the program, and then I went to another program, and my son pointed him out. He was all excited to see him. I was like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, how you doing?" With the sizing him up, looking at him. And a third time I went, I walked out the door. I walked outside of their little cafeteria because that's where they had their events, right? And I walked out, and the man followed me out, and he said to me, "Hey, I know you are, a single parent, and you're busy. I have a son, your son's age, and I just, I don't mind just coming picking him up on the weekend, do some." And so I said to him in my very not so nice mama's voice, and also I use real curse words, right? Your real curse words. But I made it very clear to him that he would not be taking my son anywhere. And also that I do not appreciate my son being in his classroom at any time. My son's not taking computer tech or science, whatever that is. He's not taking it. And you do not, under any circumstances, go by that classroom and pick up my son again. I had a talk the next day with the principal. I talked with the teacher, and I said to them, do not, do not allow my son to leave the classroom. If he is doing something disruptive, then whatever punishment is, whatever consequence it is, that's what he gets. But you had better not put him in a situation like that again. And only because of the presentation by my peer, his words, sunk deep inside of me because I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't paying attention. So that's why I'm sharing it with you, right? And so those were grooming techniques because when I met him, my own discernment kicked in. I'm like, oh, this joker right here gonna make me slit his throat, right? I'm saying, what in the world? So that's what I wanted to make sure I share with you. Just be aware of where your children are, who's influencing them. And so this is not, this is not for, single parents, which I think is hilarious. People want to make that some kind of negative. But anyway, because you could be in two-parent homes and all kind of foolishness could still be occurring. So I'm bringing this to your attention, right? I'm bringing this to your attention, to your awareness. So what I want you to do is what I did is I want you to pay attention, and I'm going to ask you to give your children an opportunity for you to hear them. I want you to set up a time, a space, some kind of arrangement where they know during this time is their time to talk about whatever they want. Oh, by the way, I heard a lot about bugs and all kind of animals and farts and all the things little boys talk about during his space, during his time. And then, of course, my ears perked up when there was another adult that I did not know that was influencing him, right? And so I wanted to make sure I shared that with you all. And I see you, Mo. I see. Okay, I see. It could be grooming. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought it was. That's exactly what it said. And Miss Ward, how you doing? So this that led to something else, right? The other thing it led to for us is we created our own safe word. We created our own safe word, and no one else on the planet knows what our safe word is because my son would be, playing sports. He was in church events. He was, with my family members. We had a manny, not a nanny, but a manny, right? And so that's the safe word. So I would tell him that, and actually, I told him just the other day, same thing. If you are somewhere away from me, or even we're in the same space, and you said this word to me in a sentence or out loud or whatever it is, then mean mom is coming, right? Then mean mom is going to show up. Angry mom is coming I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care where I am. I don't care if you think I am so busy. I don't care what I'm doing. You're the only thing that matters to me, right? So if you tell me this, but you have to be honest. That's the other part, because I will not, I will not stop. I will not know how to calm down. And so that's what I said to my son when he was smaller, a preteen or teen. Mom will not know how to calm down, because mean mom will be in full effect. So make sure that it's not that you're not just being someone is actually discipline you and you don't like it, or you just want to see something funny, whatever it is. You make sure that you want mean mom to come, because whomever that adult is, I said, I don't care if it's brothers, sisters, mine, right? I don't care if it's cousins. I don't care if it's the neighbors. I don't care if it's the pastor. Me, mom is coming. So make sure that when you use this word, that we are on the same sheet of music. That I don't care where I am. I'm coming for you. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to protect you. And so that's what that led to. And over the years, my son may have been with, on a church event or something else, and I would be talking to him, and I would listen, and I would just ask for clarification, and I would say, "Hey, so is this something for me, mom? Is this what's going on?" He's like, "Oh no, mom. Oh no, 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 mom, not that." Because he knew what that would look like, right? But he knew that I was coming to get him, coming to remove him from that situation, and gather facts, all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, uh, I would tell him, even though I may have just been shouting at you, I may have just been angry with you for your behavior. In the next moment, I don't care. If you use this word, we'll deal with mommy's stuff later. We have to focus on you. So the question is, are your children safe? And do you have some things in place, right? Some things in place, some situations, some scenarios where you and your children, and if you have like multiple children, um, you figure that thing out, whether you need different words. I allowed my son to choose the word, right? And I would give that to you also. All right. Let me say, I did this with my daughter, especially after hearing about a time when the safe word actually saved the mother's life. Oh wow, yeah, yeah. That's very deep. That's very deep. And so that's the question. While we're out here building our empire, while we're out here, gaining more skills, while we're out here collecting more stuff, while we're out here, developing wholesome and healthy relationships with our partners, while we're out here, buying our children stuff that really a box or a hug would do for them. Uh, I just want to bring to your attention, to your awareness, that we are responsible for the environments we put them in, right? Let that sink in. We are responsible for the environments we put our children in. I'm just telling you right now. So, you live in a certain state, city. You live in a certain neighborhood. You are the one who is responsible for the daycare and the church that you attend. You put your children in those environments, and so now, and you're doing all the right things. But I tell you what, those stats that we continue to hear about of the church people doing all kind of foolishness to children, or the school coaches the doing all kind of foolishness to children, gaining their trust. The other thing I told my son all his life is, adults don't ask for help from children. Like if their dog or cat is missing, the adults are not asking a child to help them go find their dog or balloons or candy or whatever it is. I got all the balloons you need over here, fella. Right? We got candy right here in the house. So don't, all those things. Just be honest with your children about that. And so I wanted to, just share that with you and um, trust your children if their behavior changes, all this kind of stuff. But anyway, so I think it may have been last week or whatever it was just reading something else about somebody else doing something crazy to children, to a child, and I looked at my son and I said, "So you good?" He's like, "Mom, I'm good. I'm good, Mom." And I was like, "Okay," because even if, and I said to him, even if today, if you share that someone touched you inappropriately or did something else to you years ago, and you didn't want to tell me then, you can tell me now. And, I would never, ever be mad with you about it. He's like, "No, Mom, nobody ever touched me inappropriately." I said, "Okay, all right." Anybody ever come in the bathroom while you were in there? Like, "Oh, it's a mistake," that kind of stuff. He's like, "No, ma'am. No, ma'am." I was like, "Okay. All right. Thank God." So, of all the issues that he and I have, that's not one of them, right? That's not one of them. And so, right this minute, you have the opportunity to share this information with other people or within your own life, in your own situation, your own scenarios, in your own environment. Just, um, just make sure that your child has an outlet. Your child, and you want it to be you, right? Like, you're not their friend. You want it to be you, and you want to do something about it. So it, throughout your life, throughout your child's life, you are going to need some help. I mean, this 24/7 with your children. This whole pandemic thing, being in the house with my son all the time. Thank God they went back to school in person. But being in the house with him all that time, I'm like, oh my God, I need some help right this minute, right? Um, okay, so you said, oh, I'm reading my comments, and let's go back to the comment. So we say, oh, I see you, Melinda. Responsibility and accountability matters. Lakeisha Ward says, I have missed this, but at what age did you create a safe word for your son? Oh, he was 8. He was 8 because that was the time, that same time frame. I heard the presentation from my male peer talking, sharing with us how he was, had been, molested when he was a child, or raped, really. And so he was, my son was 8. But I tell you, if I'd known that earlier, I would have taught it to him earlier, because he was, capable of choosing his own words and, telling me what was, when he was not comfortable with something, or he didn't like somebody, or, whatever. He, in his own child words, he would say whatever it was, and I would, be able to translate that thing into, what was that? What was that about with this adult? So, but for us, um, it worked, thank God. And read all those different statistics of the ages in which things are occurring, and the situations and circumstances. And if you think for 1 second that is happening to other people, then stop it, right? Stop it with that. Stop it with that. So some of the things that, as leaders, and let's go back into our whole leadership role and leading ourselves, and the things that, we should and should not do in these situations, right? So the one thing is, here in the Better You community, it's all about leading yourself, learning how to lead yourself, so that you can, live the life, manifest the life that you deserve. And so, in the case of your children, in the case of your grandkids or your nieces, your nephews, um, while you are seeking all these things and these skills, then just step back and start to shut your big old mouth, right? And pay attention to the people that are in your life and in your children's life, because you are the one who allow the environment You control which environments your children are in. You're the one paying for the before care and after care. You're the one who are bringing people into your home. You're the one that put that kid on the baseball, basketball, lacrosse team. You're the one who is doing that when they're younger, right? You're in that school because you live in that area. So go up to the school, go to the school, meet the coaches. My son's playing AAU now, basketball, and I go to the games. Sometimes reluctantly, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna be here like 5,000 hours. I had like 10,000 things to do, but still go and just sit. That's what I do. Just sit and then observe those nonverbal. That's what I do. Nonverbal communication. I'm not looking for anything devious or crazy, but I'm just looking. I'm just paying attention, and I'm looking at my son's mannerisms when he's in contact with boys, girls, coaches, adults, whatever it is. I'm just paying attention, right? I'm just paying attention, and for a minute, getting my thoughts off of me. So when he is explaining or complaining about what may have happened, with him engaging with others, he's 16. Then I'm like, okay, I have some kind of context and know when he's exaggerating or whatever it is because he's 16, right? So there you go. So the Better You Leadership podcast today covered um, something that's critically important in it is the question: are your children safe while you're working? And I just gave you some examples of the things that I put in place to communicate with my son. And also, what was critically important for me was to hear from an adult who had been sexually assaulted, someone who don't even look like, that's the crazy thing. We think people look like a certain way when they've been molested or raped. Nope, 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 nope. That's what I learned is my own bias, right? And so I shared that with you. And I know that you know people who have been violated and, were not safe at some point. So, also, the thing that I did was that whole sex offenders list. I'd look that thing up, and because we moved every 1 to 3 years, I did when I served in the army, and I'd look that up and see who was the child predators or sexual assault people, whatever, sex offenders. I think that's the right word. The sex offenders that were in my zip code, and my God, is a gazillion of them, right, for all different types of things. So you want to be aware, not scared and shut down, but you want to be aware. And then you want to talk through with your trusted adult, your partner, what you might do, right? Like I actually showed when we moved here, when I retired, we moved to where we are right now. I actually looked it up and showed my son. Look at all these houses with these sex offenders in them. We look up like what they did, right? And so we know here in my own neighborhood, what kind of foolishness is all around us, right? So just awareness. That's what we want. We want awareness. Okay, with that said, this concludes this episode of the Better You podcast. Make sure you do something with this information. Make sure you put some things in place. If you don't already have them in place, make sure you share this with people with especially little kids. Especially little kids. Share these things, and then you, of course, in your own grown lady mind, decide what you're going to put in place, what you're going to do for your grandkids, for your own kids, for your neighbors, for your nieces and nephews. Have a conversation with your siblings and the people you work around. By the way, just a quick little thing of you're at work with someone who works late all the time. You might want to say, hey, girl, you need to go home. What are you doing? Just pop up. Just get on up out of here. Stop coming in at the same times, right? Put some things in place. Go by the school, right? So you can get a Just scan the environment and see what's going on. Now that right there is gold. That's gold right there. That's gold. That's like high five gold. Bam, bam. Come on, give me the high five. Bam. There you go. I'm looking for your high five. So for the people who listen to this on replay, make sure in the comments you put replay and whatever your comments, your experience you want to share, put it in the comments because we're going to help a whole lot of people with this. And this is the Better You Leadership Podcast. My name is Angela M. Odom. I'm your host. Here we are teaching women how to lead themselves so that they can manifest a life that they deserve, right? So make sure you go to all the places where you listen to podcasts and subscribe to put some comments at the Better You Leadership Podcast. You can go to Amazon Music, Spotify, all those places, wherever podcasts are listened to, and make sure that you give a 5 rating. Don't do any craziness with, a 3, a 2, a 1. And nobody trying to hear that. This is amazing. This is some good stuff right here. So make sure you give me a rating of 5 on the Better You Leadership Podcast, and make sure you subscribe. All right. With that said, make sure you share this also. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing day. You all take care.